Hey YouTube, Kira Qualia here, bringing you all my Cardfight Vanguard Revel Dress Youthberk deck profile for post-Blazing Dragon Reborn. We got the immensely powerful support for Youthberk in the latest Cardfight Vanguard booster set. Set 6 allowed us to get the new forms of Revel Dress for Youthberk, along with his new grade 3 form as well. Revel Dress basically is the overdress for the Vanguard, being able to change different forms and then attack again with your Vanguard, either getting an additional critical or a drive check for the play that you're meant to do with your main go-to grade 3, which is Youthberk Skyfall Arms. And the initial setup and the additional support we have from the booster set just adds immense support for the search power that you're meant to do with the deck also. So let's go ahead and get started with the deck profile. So starting off with the ride deck, our starter is Youth Following in Footsteps Youth. The standard when rode upon, if you went second, draw a card. Our grade 1 is Determined to Break Away Youth. During the battle this unit attacked, it gets plus 2,000 power on Vanguard or rear. And when it's rode upon by Knight of Ardent Light Youth, you can Soul Blast 1, look at the top 3 cards of your deck, choose up to 1 card with Youthberk from among them, and reveal it, and then put it into your hand, or choose a grade 2 or less unit from among them and call it to rear. So you have both options available to you if you don't search out the Youthberk card. Our grade 2 has the same when rode upon with a unit with Revel, with basically your Revel Dress. You can counter plus 1, choose a grade 2 or greater from your drop zone, and put it into your hand. So then more recycle power, depending on what you may have discarded off of your ride deck cost. And our grade 3 is the new Youthberk Skyfall Arms, along with the copy in the ride deck. We are running 3 additional copies of this card in the main deck with Revel Dress. On the Vanguard at the end of the battle, this unit attack, choose up to 1 card with Revel form from your hand, ride it a stand, and it gets drive -2 till end of turn. And on Vanguard, once per turn, you can discard a card from your hand, look at the top 3 cards of your deck, choose up to 1 Revel form from among them, reveal it, put it into your hand, or choose up to 1 grade 2 or less from among them and call it to rear. Having the same setup as your ride deck, but still consistency in being able to go into your Revel Dress is the main highlight of this card. For the Revel forms that we run, 4 copies of the new Revel form Gust with this card when placed on Vanguard by Revel Dress ability. If your opponent's Vanguard is grade 3 or greater, discard a card from your hand. It gets plus 10,000 and drive +1. So normally you wouldn't have any drive check thanks to your Skyfall Arms, but at least with Gust you can boost up that power. And at the end of the turn, choose a card with Revel Dress from your soul and ride it as rest, putting you back onto your Skyfall Arms, so then you can use Revel Dress the following turn. And I also run 3 copies of Youthberk Revel Form Zest. The one from the trial deck, when placed on Vanguard by Revel Dress ability, it gets plus 15,000. If you Persona Road, it gets critical +1. So just additional pressure with the Persona Ride. And also at the end of the battle, having the same option to choose a card with Revel Dress from your soul and ride it as rest. Moving on now to the grade 2s, running 4 copies of the new Knight of Fracture Schneisel. When placed on rear, counter +1, look at the top 5 cards of your deck, choose up to 1 grade 3 with Youthberk from among them, reveal it, put it into your hand, and shuffle your deck, and this unit gets plus 5,000 power. It's more search power, so that's why it's definitely a 4 of in the deck. And when it attacks a Vanguard, if your Vanguard was placed this turn by riding from a grade 3, choose one of your Vanguards, and it gets plus 5,000 power till end of turn. So additional power for your Youthberk Vanguard to be able to attack, and just the added power, thanks to that, definitely does help, along with the +5 that Schneisel can provide to itself for its search power. And the only other grade 2 I run in the deck is just 1 additional copy search of Knight of Tempestuousness to Vreed. If you have a Vanguard with Youth in its card name, it gets 5,000 shield, just as an additional guard, either from the rear guard circle as an intercept, or from the hand to guard with. Moving on now to the grade 1s, running 4 copies of Painkiller Angel. At the end of the battle, this unit boosted, you Soul Blast 1, retire it, and draw a card. So you really don't use the soul for much else in this deck for your setup, so you at least can be using this card for draw power, and then adding other cards for that setup. You just really use the Soul Blast for the initial play of your Youth. So then you have this to rely on for some of the other plays or some of the other grade 1s which we run, which are additionally 3 copies of Menacing Tiger. When this unit is discarded from your hand during your turn, counterblast 1 and call it to rear as rest. So you have more options for the discard cost, giving you another grade 1. And when placed on rear, you can soul blast 1, choose one of your vanguards, and gets plus 5,000. So making up for the fact that you're calling a grade 1 that you can't boost with, you can at least provide plus 5,000 power to your Youthberk Skyfall Arms, being the first attack. As long as you have that power growing, it'd be a difficult attack for your opponent to guard against. And then sometimes they like to either block the vanguard attack and take the additional Revel form that is written afterwards as the more pressured attack, and trying to either take that attack or block it also. And then the other grade 1, 2 copies of Enucleate Angel. On rear, when your Vanguard is placed from riding from a grade 3, you can Soul Blast 1, retire this unit to countercharge 1, and choose one of your Vanguards and gets plus 5,000 to end of turn. So just another plus 5,000 option in the deck, while being able to also countercharge, can make up for some of the counterblast that you'll use for your Revel form setup, but also just being able to use it for that search power that you have initially just makes it all the better for your cards that you run in the deck to use. And then the last of the grade 1s, running 3 copies of Aegis Mare Dragon and 1 copy of the new Blitz Order Elementaria Sanctitude, going up against decks that have a unit with triple drive, and then also being able just to have the Aegis Mare as a card that you can guard with, and if you have 1 or less cards in your hand, not having to pay the discard cost for it. Moving on now to the orders. The only order that I run in the deck is Departure Towards the Dawn. Running 2 copies of the card, you play it with a counterblast of 1, look at the top 5 cards of your deck, and choose a card from among them with Rebel form its card name, reveal it, and put it into your hand, or choose 1 grade 2 or less card from among them and call it to rear. So you'll at least have something to call out or add to your hand with this card. I potentially wanted to run 3. If I were to do so, you can take out the Knight of Tempestuousness, Vreed, as another 3rd copy of this. It's just player preference. I ran the 2 because we do have the Schneisels in the deck as well to rely on for that search power. And for the trigger lineup, with a mix of a good variety, running 4 of the Blade Feather Dragon and 2 copies of Volition Rigger Dragon. So you have 6 critical for the Vanguard pressure, but still attacking with your rear guards. We're running 3 copies of the front trigger, which is Bard of Heavenly Song Alpac, not only for the additional +5, but still being able to hit with some of your rear guard units after your Vanguard has attacked can make for some pretty good pressure thanks to this card. And also 2 copies of the Draw for hand consistency, along with a 5k shield when guarding a grade 3 attack or greater. And for the heals, running 2 copies of the Recuperate Angel, 1 copy of Invigorate Sage, and Tear Sorceress for the additional heals with the power to guard against the multiple attacks or the units with the additional critical. With the last card being the Overtrigger, having the option until the end of turn. Also, you perform drive checks for your rear guards. Not as strong since we don't have as many twin drive rear guards, but still a great option to provide since you can have just any drive check with 1 check going to your rear guards, most of the time being either your Vrede or your Schneisel on the rear guard that attacks with it. And that is it for the deck profile. I hope you all enjoyed the video. Like I said, it's awesome support that we got, and we'll only get more support for Youthberk in set 7, so definitely look forward to it. And as always, until next time, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe, and Kira Qualia out.